Welcome to this episode and the second in a 5-part series on the Yamas. Yamas are the first limb of yoga in the Ashtanga yoga system. If you haven't already, please also check out the first episode of this series in which we explore the first Yama, ahimsa, that is, non-violence. The literal translation of the word Yama in Sanskrit is restraint. Religious texts of Hinduism and Jainism outline 5 yamas. These moral vows or moral disciplines are considered universal teachings that extend far beyond your yoga mat. They are important and auspicious practices that are intended to offer guidance and the spiritual grace of how to act towards ourself. There are 5 yamas in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. In today's episode, we dive into the second yama, Satya, or truthfulness. In each episode of the Wisdom Podcast, I share both spiritual and practical wisdom, together with the insights, offerings, and truth that have helped others live their greatness, conquer their fears, heal from the experiences of their past, be resilient, live empowered and free, and of course, of their authentic happiness. You may hear your own story in some of the stories of my clients who have healed themselves, become in control of their life, and reclaimed their authentic power. Seeking a deeper understanding and meaning of life awakens us to discover our purpose and to witness infinite beauty and joy that is so abundant. Each episode is meant to offer something beautifully relevant and timely for you. Let the sacred path that you are on be one that you choose deliberately, based on the inspired wisdom of your inner truth. And as you live a beautiful and love-filled life. The Vedas are a large body of religious texts originating in ancient India. Composed in Vedic Sanskrit, the texts constitute the oldest layer of the Sanskrit literature and the oldest scriptures of Hinduism. Religious texts of Hinduism and Jainism outline 5 yamas. Satya is a Sanskrit word that is translated as truth. It also refers to a virtue in Indian religions, referring to being truthful in one's thought, speech, and action. You practice Satya by observing reality without judgment. This moral discipline is also the path of freedom from all self-induced suffering. Satya is what modern-day cognitive therapy espouses as truth-seeking and challenging one's thoughts to ensure that you are holding thoughts that are accurate and based in truth. As we go forward, I want to also invite you to check out the links I'm leaving for you for further resources that are definitely worth checking out, and all in support of the second yama. Also, here and throughout this series, I reference and in some cases quote directly from the book The Yamas and the Niyamas, Exploring Yoga's Ethical Practice. It's a book that I found to be so helpful and one that I hope you'll check out as well. Truth has the power to right wrongs and end sorrows. It is fierce in its demands and magnanimous in its offerings. It invites us to places we rarely frequent and where we seldom know what the outcome will be. We may think that truth simply means not fibbing to our mom when she asks us if we have eaten cookies before dinner, yet truth demands integrity to life and to our own self that is more than not telling a simple lie. When you choose to be real rather than to project pleasantries, when you choose self-expression over self-indulgence, when you choose growth over the need to belong, and when you choose fluidity over rigidity, you begin to understand the deeper expression of truthfulness, and you begin to explore the freedom and goodness of what Satya beholds. Carl Jung writes, "A lie would make no sense unless the truth was felt to be dangerous." Why do we lie? Why do we lie to ourselves? Are we afraid to hurt someone's feelings, or afraid if we told the truth, we would not be liked or admired anymore? Nice is not always real. Have you ever had a conversation with someone who was nice, who was lovely to chat with, and yet with whom you felt that you could not quite break through the walls that they were upholding? You walked away thinking that you don't really know them still. And that is because you were not given a key to be allowed in to see the realness of this person. Real exists when you have the comfort of knowing yourself well and being confident to be this in any situation. Real is being your true self with all others. It is revealing all of who you are and not showing one side or aspect of yourself with work colleagues, another part of you with your family, and still another side that you show to your friends. When we talk about living as our best self, it is embracing your wholeness. It is revealing the one version of you that illuminates what I call your greatness. When you trust fully in your ability to share yourself with the world, and as you engage with others with your heart open, you are not guarded, rather willing to share of your realness and your wholeness. Real arises from the center of your unique essence and speaks to the moment from that center. Real has a boldness to it, an essence, a spontaneity. Real asks us to live from a place where there is nothing to defend and nothing to manage. You can be real even when another is not able to do so and is guarded or pretending or nice, because it feels authentic and far better to embrace being real rather than limiting or holding any part of you back from what is absolutely true. Real is a contract with the moment that is not superimposed or prepackaged. Real is something we might not always like in another, but we come to know that there will be no surprises. Real, though not always pleasant, is trustworthy. Have you ever met someone that you liked, but you also didn't believe you could let your guard down with them because to be real or truthful could mean that they might not like you, or not like you as much as the person you are trying to convey or pretend to be? The deepness, the realness, the honesty to be wholly yourself with someone in relationship is built from the foundation of that first experience of showing the other person the real, authentic you. You are also looking for the other person to give you the same gift of realness. Here are some questions to ponder as you contemplate the ways that you can be real with yourself and all others. What makes it possible for you to change or silence yourself, or to say yes when you mean no? Or as Carl Jung would ask, what is so dangerous in the moment about the truth that you are choosing to lie? Let's talk for a moment about self-expression versus self-indulgence. If we habitually silence or change and misrepresent ourselves, we begin to lose our lust for life and look towards other things to fulfill us. We forget that we are here on this earth to self-express in a way that no one else has or ever could. We can feel this urge within us bubbling up as a form of expression and creativity, and our unique way of imprinting on the world who we are at our core. If our ability to self-express is limited, or if we are made to feel shameful for being who we are, we can easily retract and recoil. We can begin to develop our own set of rules and conditions that can never mimic what is truly our perfect inner nature. Self-indulgence most often arises in the form of shoulds or should-nots, either from our own self-messages or from others' messages to us. The result is always a misdirection of energy. There is a settling for less than we had hoped for, a kind of resolution to things as they are. Often we find ourselves hiding or overeating or overworking rather than doing what we really want to do. Living the life that cries to be lived from the depth of our being frees up a lot of energy and vitality. Our creative energy takes over. Everyone around us benefits from the aliveness that we feel. Suppressing that life, for whatever reason, takes a lot of our life energy just in the managing of the pretending. As human beings, we have both a need to belong to groups and a need to expand and grow. In the book The Yamas and the Niyamas, Deborah Adele talks about the family constellation work of Bert Hellinger. Hellinger says that as long as we stay within the approval of the group, we experience the innocence of belonging. However, when we begin to grow in directions beyond the group, we experience guilt in regards to the group. The truth of our freedom carries the price of guilt. The groups we belong to are many: our country, our culture, our gender, our class, our age groups, our race, our religion, our family of origin, our workplace, our community, and the various organizations that we are members of. As these groups have rules and belief systems, some written, some understood silently, and that must be followed for us to be a part of the group. These rules and belief systems are what shape the group and give the group its identity. As long as these rules don't conflict with our inner longing to grow more and into our full self, there's no problem. However, when we feel a conflict between our desire to belong and our desire to grow, we have to make a choice. We must either sacrifice a part of ourself to maintain our belonging, or we must risk the approval and support of the group by growing. Think of the protester whose conscience opposes a war her country is engaged in. Following her realness, will she take a stance even if it means going to jail? Or think of the man who finds himself in a dead-end job that holds no interest or life for him, and yet he has a family to support with kids ready for college. Will he switch to a job that excites him but pays a significantly lower salary? Or the young mother who is longing to go back to school but is deeply entrenched in a family and community that strongly encourages that mothers stay home and care for their small children? Will she choose the realness of her longing, trusting that she can care for her children even more deeply from a place of satisfaction and the excitement of her own life? Each of these situations point out why listening to and acting on our inner voice to change and grow, to move on, to speak our truth and to act on this can be so difficult at times. If we pursued any of these stories in more depth, we would see that other factors can easily be pulled in as additional reasons to remain in the status quo, stacking the deck even more in favor of staying the same. Truth rarely seems to ask the easier choice of us. In the moment-to-moment details of our daily living, truth asks us to pay attention and to act correctly the first time. In Deborah Adele's book, she refers to a statement made by Yogi Raj Akala that it is worth the effort to do the task right the first time, because cleanup takes so much time. Think about this for a moment. How much time do you expend working up the courage to find and speak with someone you were a little harsh with and apologize? Or go back and tell someone you can't really do what you said you would do? Or maybe you spend time and energy trying to avoid a person because of your own embarrassment, of not following through on something you said you would do. Can you imagine speaking and acting so honestly and truthfully that you never have to go back and apologize or make a new agreement? Also, what are the untruths and lies you tell yourself? Maybe it is in the promises that you make to yourself that are not realistic, that do not allow for the reality of interruptions, rest, or play. What do you do in these cases? Do you find yourself out of balance, keeping up with the too many commitments you have made because of your dishonesty with yourself? Do you lie to yourself when you set lofty goals that are more wishful thinking than anything the reality of your days can accomplish? Do you risk telling yourself the truth? Do you keep the promises you make to yourself and to others? Be willing to take the risk to tell yourself the truth and grow into the person who can trust themselves, because this is how you will be able to bear others' trust in you. Being truthful with yourself makes you trustworthy and frees up the time that you feel guilt and regret from your dishonesty. Truth saves you from having to clean up, and you also get to feel authentic and proud of your honesty in the process. One of the most important teachings that we discuss when you and I are working together is to be wholly truthful. First with yourself, and of course with me. And in doing so, this means first examining the ways in which you are not being truthful, because these untruths and lies are what have been contributing to your demise, your lack of confidence, your self-sabotaging habits, and the beliefs that do not serve you, such as, I'm not good enough, I'm not deserving, I'm unlovable, I'm unworthy. And then, when you begin to correct the lies and stories, and I will help you do this, you feel reborn. You realize that it is you that has been holding yourself back, no one else. Because of its eternal union with nonviolence, truth has a fluidity about it. In one situation, truth shows up boldly and courageously, as when we speak from our heart, when telling another how they have hurt us. In another situation, truth shows up easy and fun when we heap praise on a child's Lego build. Both of these examples show the practice of truth when it is partnered with the love of nonviolence. The compassion of nonviolence keeps truthfulness from being a personal weapon. It asks us to think twice before we walk around mowing people down with our truth and then wonder where everyone went. The fluidity of truth also requires that We clean our lens and periodically get new glasses with which to observe the world. Our seeing with honesty and truthfulness is impacted by all of the groups that shape us, as well as by our experiences. What we believe, whether we are aware of that belief or not, informs everything we do and every choice we make. To be a bold person of truth is to constantly look for what we are not seeing and to expose ourselves to different views than the ones we hold sacred. As Yogi Raj Achala reminds us, what are you not seeing because you are seeing what you are seeing? The fluidity of truth rests in the realization that what beliefs and customs you grow up participating in may fit for that time in your life as it gives you the comfort of sharing in the distinct rituals in your family of origin. Yet as you continue on your life path and as you learn and educate yourself, you will adopt new customs, rituals, and habits that serve who you truly are and of which nourish your growth into all that you are becoming. I remember the singular moment when I made the decision, the final decision, because I had been researching and reading and contemplating for some time before this, of when I would no longer eat meat, eat animals. My decision, of course, sparked questions, and I could see that even with the best attempts to explain my new beliefs, my moral ground, my need to be true to myself, it would be several more years before I felt that others were truly understanding and accepting of my differing beliefs. Today, I would say that my decision, my willingness and choice to follow my truth has actually been a positive influence on the decisions that others have made. There are going to be times that you need to step away from those that are closest to you and those with whom you share the same interests, ideas, philosophies, and beliefs, because for you, those beliefs and practices no longer support who you are and who you continue to become. In India, the fluidity of truth was understood in a practice of what was called the Ashramic Stages. Life was divided into 4 equal parts or times in which a certain aspect of living was honored and pursued. In the first period of life, it was a time to grow up and, with the support of parents, learn a skill in which you showed interest and ability. In the second period of life, it was time to use this skill for the good of the community and to receive money in return so you could live and raise a family. In the third period of life, it is time to leave worldly possessions and tasks in pursuit of inner wisdom. And in the last phase of life, it was time to return to the community, guiding and supporting the community with the inner wisdom that had been attained. As much as modern life does not always hold clear distinctions between each of the 4 Ashramic stages, we can still use this as a guideline in which to ask ourselves, what is my path of truth at this place and time in my life? And what am I able to offer others and the world through acts of service and in living my truth? To be a person of substance is to be willing to stay present in life, no matter what its initial unpleasantness. Staying present with the truth of the moment will add more depth to your life and more richness to each of your experiences. This translates into growing up and following a path that has a fluid nature and allows you to best express yourself in the ways that you need to be rather than to be blown around and impacted by the natural movement of life ever changing around you. This is a practice of being your whole self and showing up in your life as this one certain and secure best version of you, with your thoughts, words, and actions congruent and unified. It's like you reveal to the world that you have taken the time to sit with yourself and to learn about who you are in ways that have already given you confidence to be this in the world. You hold weight and certainty when you invest in attending to the needs of the self. When you are centered in the moment, you can fully meet life in all of the beautiful ways that it reveals itself, including the challenging moments that are sometimes unexpected. Think of it as you in your wholeness, showing up in each moment to live fully, to meet life in its truth, and to live with integrity, ready to experience what life offers, and with courage to be raw and real with whatever is. I'd like to leave you with some insights and observances. These are to help you think further on how you will embody the moral discipline of Satya. First, notice the difference between when you are being nice and when you are being real. I believe the discipline you are looking for is to be kind and real. Notice the situations where you are real, and what do these experiences invoke in you? What were the results? Second, for the week ahead, I encourage you to live in full self-expression. Give yourself permission to be real, to be creative, to do what nourishes your soul and your happiness. Act on opportunities that present themselves to you. Observe what happens in you and how others react. Third, I invite you to live by the moral code of do it right the first time. Do this not only for this week ahead, but live wholly truthful, and where you don't have to backtrack to apologize or correct mistakes, and where you don't run from what challenges or difficulties present themselves. Face each moment head on with clarity and confidence. And finally, look at ideas and beliefs that once served you and that now are archaic. You may unknowingly hold onto what you no longer need. As you let go of what no longer serves you, celebrate your movement toward a clearer and more authentic self. Let the practice of Satya be your moral guide. Let it rule large in your life. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to having you join me next week in the third episode of this series of 5. And for the third Yama, Asteya, non-stealing. Sending you great love. This is Dorothy. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me in this episode of the Wisdom Podcast. To hear more, please check out the other episodes right here. And I'd love for you to subscribe and share your feedback on this or any episode with me. And then join me at dorothyratusny.com, where you'll find the wisdom blog, the inspiration for this podcast, the latest online courses that I teach, my YouTube videos, and the Wisdom Archives, which are an extensive library of guided meditations, mindfulness musings, spiritual teachings, and best therapeutic practices for your whole being, and to nourish and heal your life. plus many other special offerings of love. Please also visit me on social media and say hello. Allow yourself to go within, to access your inner wisdom, and to live this. Awaken your authentic power, live your truth, and be love. Thank you. This is Dorothy.